If you're only using watercolor on either wet paper or dry paper, you're actually missing out on two other stages. In today's video, we're gonna talk about the different drying stages that your paper actually goes through and that you can actually paint in two other stages, moist and damp. Grab your paints and let's start in today's video. All right, before we dive in real quick, on my table is a 9x12 sheet of Arches watercolor cold press paper. And these little boxes that I have that we're gonna test this out with are 6 inches by about 3.5 inches wide. Brushes, I have a flat 3/4 brush. This is gonna help cover the paper really quickly. That's the only thing I'm gonna use it for. And then I have a round 8 brush to actually paint in as we go. This is a Creative Mark and this is the Ebony Splendor. So that's it, just 2 brushes. And then again, since this is more about experimenting and testing, doesn't really matter what colors you use with this. I will be using kind of just some greens in the trees and yellows for the sun. So when we wet our paper right now, we're gonna wet all of them at the same time, except for this one, we're gonna leave dry. And then the minute we finish wetting these 3 boxes, I'm gonna start my timer on my phone. So I have a timer nearby. For the moist stage, again, it's between 2 to 4 minutes. And I say that range because there's a couple different factors. One is right now I'm filming, so I have 2 lights on my paper right now, which is going to heat it up a lot faster than if I didn't have the lights. So I'm gonna stick towards the lower end of this range. Same with if you live in the desert, which I used to in Arizona, and like you have really dry, hot, heat, it's gonna dry on you way quicker than if you're in a moist state where you don't have that type of weather. So again, that's why I'm giving you ranges. Test this out yourself and kind of see what it's like in your climate, location, all of those things. Because with those lights on, I noticed it's drying my paper quicker. So for my moist, I'm gonna do about 2.5 minutes. And then for my damp, I'm gonna do 5 minutes waiting once I've wetted the paper. So I'll set those timers. So let's dive in, and I'm gonna try and wet this really kind of quickly so that they're all, again, around the same exact time frame. And I'm making sure to also do a good amount of water. So I'm going horizontal and vertical strokes, making sure I get this really nice and wet. And then now same over here. And our last one. Okay, so now I'm gonna set my timer. I'm gonna have 2 timers. I'm gonna have a 2-minute and 30-second timer. So I'm gonna start that. And then I'm at another one that is going to be right at 5 minutes. And I'm going to start that. So I have 2 timers on my table. And now let's paint this one, because this one we're just jumping in right away. You get your paper wet and you just add your paint to your paper. And you're gonna see the difference this kind of makes between these different drying stages. So I'm just gonna kind of go in following my tree. Now I'm gonna rinse my brush real quick. I'm gonna grab a brown for the trunk. And I kind of like this image for testing this out because the trunk has that skinniness to it, which is cool to see how much this kind of spreads on you. And then rinse my brush. And last but not least, I'm gonna grab just a color for my sun over here. And so as I painted all of that in, I tried to stay within the outline edging of what it is I'm painting so that you can really see how far those colors spread and bleed. And then we're gonna see the difference once we get over to this one and then this one, giving that little bit of drying time to where you're painting in a moist stage and then a damp stage, and then at the very end we'll do the dry stage. So now I'm gonna wait. I still got some time on my clock, so we'll come back in just a second once that goes off. All right, my timer just went off for the moist stage, so I'm going back into my green. And again, same exact process, we're just gonna paint this in. Gonna paint in the little sun. And last but not least, the tree branch. I guess it's not the tree branch, it is the trunk of our tree. All right, we've got that painted in. You can already kind of see the difference it's making. All right, so now we move on to our damp stage. So I've got my green, I'm gonna come in here. Okay, we are on now our last stage, which is painting on the paper completely dry. So typically with watercolor, we always think we either paint wet into wet, where we get it wet, like in this first stage, and then paint right on it, or we paint on dry. So usually we kind of are a little bit narrow-minded in thinking that these are the two lanes of painting with watercolor. And doing this exercise kind of helps you see that wetting your paper and then actually giving it a little bit time to dry, not all the way to be dry, but to either be moist or damp, you can get different effects with it because the paper's reacting to the watercolor differently because it's now not just super wet, it's like in this moist or damp stage. And so once we paint on our dry paper, we'll kind of come back and look at all of them. With this one, I'm gonna be careful to not touch the green, otherwise that brown will bleed into the green. So I'm just giving myself a little tiny space in between those. Now that we kind of finished and we can go back and kind of look at how much spreading happened, that's kind of the whole purpose of doing this, is to truly see, again, what's happening with when you put your paints down depending on how wet the paper is. So when it's completely wet and we put those paints down, again, because I was kind of mixing my green and I had some ultramarine blue in there, I put in a little bit green gold and then Hooker's green. I was like mixing it up. You can actually see like the ultramarine blue in places, and I feel like the green gold like almost spread out. So even the way it reacted to the mixture of paint is so different than over here. Again, I can kind of see the ultramarine blue a little bit in there, but not the way this showed up. It had like a really cool like starbursty effect. I wasn't even expecting it to look quite like that. You can see I purposely do a little circle for the sun in this example, just so you again can see the spreading on it and what's happening. It looks like because my paper started to bow on me, it also then affected the direction of where stuff was headed. So you can see instead of this spreading in an even circular motion around the circle, it got pulled this direction because my paper was bowed that way. So that's also like a huge factor as well. Like if you're painting on a tilted board, then you know for sure everything will like flow downwards, versus on a table like this, because my paper started to bow, then it's like affecting the direction of where the paint's spreading as well. Over here, you can tell the spreading isn't quite like on completely wet when we gave it 2 to 4 minutes to dry. This had a little bit more evenness of like how it was spreading. And then we come down here and we can see, you know, there's a little bit spreading outside the edging. Again, not quite as much as these two. And you can also tell because the paper isn't as wet, the color isn't as light. So one thing I always stress to my students in my Watercolor 101 course is if your paper is wet, your value is gonna automatically be lighter. So when you're painting on wet paper, adjust for that when you're mixing your paint. If you want your value to be dark, you're gonna have to get a lot more paint in it, because when your paper's wet, it just lightens the value, versus working on dry paper, your value will be darker compared to working on wet paper. So over here, I didn't really get any spreading at this point in the sun, the circle, because at that point it was dry enough where it didn't spread at all. We just had a little bit of spreading in there. Even on like the trunk of the tree, very little. And then also when we did just on dry paper, no spreading whatsoever. Your paint goes exactly where your brush goes. And so when you're painting on dry paper, you have the most control because where your brush goes is where your paint's gonna go. It's not gonna spread anywhere, because when I put my brush down here, I stayed along the edging of this tree, and look how far out my paint ended up. So you don't have as much control when your paper's wet, but you have really cool effects and things get soft, they get blurred, get starbursty effects. And so there's always like a really cool time and a place to be using these different techniques. And that's why I love watercolor so much, is because the variety you have within the medium, just with how you work on the paper, is crazy. Like, that's, you know, having 4 different stages that we can work with and get a different effect for each one. It's like, it makes me feel like a kid at a candy store where I'm like, there's so much, how do I even choose sometimes? It's actually overwhelming sometimes. So here's another example I kind of did. This one was with a pine tree where I just did the, you know, more of like a rectangular shape to see the spreading. But I'm showing you this as well because you can again see the effect it's having with how the paint, again, kind of moves within on the paper, and then when the colors as well. I think that's something that when I did this for the first time, I wasn't aware that when I mix colors and put it on wet paper, you can see the separation of the color more easily. So the water on the wet paper, when you pre-mix it on your palette and you're mixing ultramarine blue and hooker's green and whatever, and then when you put it on wet paper, it starts to kind of separate it. And so you see that separation of color versus again, when you're painting on dry paper and you pre-mix it, it stays like pre-mixed together. The water's like not trying to separate those colors. So that was an eye-opening thing for me when I did this exercise. And that's why I wanted you guys to do it. You can do it, you know, with an object that's like just a singular object. It would be hard to do it with like a landscape where you have multiple things in there, but doing it with a singular still life object like a lemon, an apple, or just like a single tree, anything like that, you're gonna just have so much fun seeing the difference in each stage. And I hope you guys enjoyed experimenting with me. That is one of the best things I love doing with watercolor. Compare, contrast, be a scientist, and it just makes it a lot more fun. And then you know you have this in your tool bag to use next time you start painting. I will see you guys in the next one. If you are wanting more in-depth tutorials, or if you're new to watercolor, I have my Watercolor 101 course you are welcome to check out. I have it linked below, and I will see you guys in the next video.